Before we start, we'll do a little recap of what we did last week before we continue with today's lesson. So can anybody summarize what we did last week? Okay, so last week we looked at commenting in Python. So we said that commenting has a lot of advantages as a programmer. When you comment your code and then you come back later, you can understand what your code was doing. You also comment if you're also working in a team so that others can quickly understand what you were thinking about when you're writing the code. And also, one other advantage of commenting is that you can use commenting to break down your code into different sections and then tackle the sections one by one. So maybe if you are tasked to write a software that does something, you could break the task down into separate steps by commenting them, and then you can continue from there. So that's commenting. Then we looked at the data types. We said that in Python, we have string, float, integer, and Boolean. They are the 4 simple data types in Python. In other programming languages, instead of float, they call it decimal, and that is a number with a dot. So this is a float or decimal. This is a float or decimal. The integers are whole numbers. Then Boolean are either true or false. Now, these are the basic data types. There are more advanced ones, which we'll be learning very soon. So we have list, tuple, set, and dictionary, which we'll be going through very soon. Now, for the command prompt, let's quickly look at the command prompt. Now, this is the C prompt. That is where told. That is the C prompt. Okay, we have someone new joining the call. If the person can introduce himself. His name is user. If he can introduce himself. Or rename to a name so that we can easily identify.
This is Richfield.
Richfield, okay.
I joined with my PC instead of the phone I used earlier.
Oh, okay. Let's continue. Okay, so we said there are some commands which we can use for the command prompt. We said that when we use cd means change directory. And we use that to move from one directory to another directory. Now, so if, for instance, you were in a directory called env/py in this directory, and you wanted to move one directory down, you type cd 2 dots like this. When you press enter, the machine should change the prompt to this. This means you are moving one directory down. So if, for instance, you were in the env directory and you wanted to go to the py directory, you say cd change directory py, and this should take you one directory up. That is a py directory. So that is the cd command. Now there's another command called dir. dir will list all the folders and files under a particular directory. So if, for instance, if I was here and I type dir, it will list all the files and directory under that particular folder, which is env. Then we also looked at this command, make directory. This is used to create a folder. So if instance, I was in this directory and I wanted to create a folder called test, I'll say mkdir space test. And this would create that folder called test. And at the same time, there's rmdir, that is remove directory, that is used to remove a directory. But you can only remove a directory if it doesn't contain any file or folders before you can remove the directory. So I think that would be the recap for what we did last week. Okay. Okay, so I understand only 2 people were able to submit the assignment. I want to find out, did you have any challenge with the assignment so that we could go through before we start with today's lesson? So those who couldn't submit the assignment, were you having any challenge?
Not really. I think I will soon submit mine.
Okay. So Justina, Fosua, Moses, any,
Sir,
yes, did you have any issue with the assignment?
no, sir.
Okay. Okay. So do you want us to, as a class, to review that assignment, or we could continue? Because I think some of you have not submitted it, so that you do not copy what we would solve. So I'll individually mark the assignment and send you feedback. So on that note, if there's no question, we can start with today's lesson. Do you have the permission of the house to start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So under my PY folder, I've created a folder called lesson2.py. So under my PY folder, you see we have create file and create folder. So I clicked on the create file, new file, and I give the name lesson2.py. So that's where I'm going to type all our commands there. Okay, so you saw that last week we looked at Python strings, and there are some things we were going to go through on the Python strings. So in Python, a string is either denoted by 2 double quotes or a single quote. So these 2 are all strings in Python. So the only thing is that you need to decide to use one. If you're using double quote, double quote. If you're using single quote, you don't mix the 2 up. And we saw that we use a print function to print the output of any variable to the screen for you. So if, for instance, I'm giving that message is hello. So by doing it this way, it will print out the value of message to the command prompt. So let me save this and let me run it down there. So I type Python lesson2.py and press enter. So it has just printed out hello. Okay. Now there are a lot of things we can do with a Python string. The first thing we are going to look at is called slicing. Now, this is very important when you start doing data processing or data manipulation. Sometimes the data you get will not be in the right order, and you need to slice the data to the way you want it for you to be able to process it. So we are going to look at it. So when you are slicing a data, what it means that you are returning a range of character. And with slicing, we have the stats and the end. And in Python and every programming language, the first character starts from 0. The index starts from 0. So this string, the H is 0, E is 1, L is 2, L is 3, O is 4. So that's how we count. We always start from the 0 index. Now, look at this command I have inputted. I've created a variable called B, and I've assigned it hello, world with the exclamation sign. And I'm saying that it should do this for me. This is a command. So by this, I am slicing. Now, let me run the command first, and then let me explain what it does. So when I repeat this command and I press enter, oh, sorry. Let me comment the first hello. I don't want that one. So this printed LLO. So let's understand what it is doing. So by the first number before the column is what we call the starting point. And the second number after the column is the ending part. So what this command is saying is that get the characters from position 2 to position 5, but do not include position 5. So let's see. So let's start counting. 0 is H, 1 is E, and then the first L is 2. Okay, so it's good to start from that point 2. So the position 2 is L, position 3 is the other L, position 4 is O, and position 5 is the comma. But when you type the command this way, it means start at 2 to 5, but don't include 5. So the position 5 will not appear. And the position 5 character is a comma. So somebody will say, how do I apply this to a real life example? So let's say you are a data processor in a company. You have a lot of data that is in a text file that you are reading. And the text file contains information like this. Let's say you have a data like this that you're supposed to work on it. Now, you need to maybe get all the telephone numbers out of this data, but the data comes in this format. So what you can do is that anytime you read a line, you put it into a variable. So let's say maybe X is equal to this. And since you have looked at the data, you know that, okay, always name starts first. And from the name, we have the telephone number. So maybe the name, you'll not get the name being exactly the same length, but then you could literally be able to use slice to slice this part of the data and get only the telephone numbers from it. Else, because the name might not be the same. So let me give another example. Maybe this is the first person and the second person whose name is like this. So you see that when you count the index, you will not exactly get the index of this 0 on this line will not be the same index at this point. But you could literally be able to get the length of the strings and know that all the string with length 10, the names would be of the similar character. All the string with length maybe 15, the name is longer. So you could use that to group them and tell them that if the length of the string is 15, then start from index this to this and get the telephone number for me. If the index, the length of the string is 17 characters, start from this side to this side and get the number for me. So this is a way you could go about it. But there's another very cool tool in Python called regx that can be used to do that. Okay, so Justina, if you remember last week when we were looking at the terminal, we said that the terminal, when you log into your Visual Studio Code, the terminal is all normally on the Python shell, and we don't want to use a shell. So beside the plus icon, you click on the arrow down and choose command prompt. So that's what we are using, not the shell, the command prompt. So do that, and then you should be on the same page. So as I was saying, we could use regx to do that. But for simple string slicing, you could just use the slicing to do that. So anytime you see like this, it means starting from the character, the number 2, but that doesn't include that particular last one. So if, let's do another one. Let's say I want weld, WORLD. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So W is at the 7th. Then 0, this one is 8, 9, 10, 11. If I put 11 here, what it means is that the D will not come, because what we said that start at the first index to the last one, but do not include the last one. So 11 is the D. So if I put 11 here, that means that it will not include the D. So I make it 12. So it will include the D. So let's run this and let's see how it goes. So we see that it has printed weld down there for me. Okay. Any questions so far? Please, if you have any issue, let us know so that we can help you to address it so that we can all be on the same page. So please, any questions so far, or should I continue?
Hello.
Yes.
Mine is not, there's nothing printing in my terminal place. So
There's no,
like, you see, from your screen, I can see weld printed down there,
yes,
showing the drive C and all that. But
yes.
mine, there's nothing there.
But have you, what do you see under the terminal under yours? Can you take a
Yes, sir.
screenshot? And
All
let's see.
right. A second screenshot. Yeah, so I've set it. Let me show. I can see something. Let me show you.
Don't you see any plus icon at the far corner?
Yes, I've seen that one.
You've seen that one?
Yeah.
So beside it, there's a drop down arrow. Click on it and choose command prompt.
I've done that.
And still nothing appears
No.
down there.
You see at the top where the lesson .py is.
Yes.
I think that's where the problem is. I've sent it. Yesterday, I didn't send it to George. You see, I saved in the folder before coming to do the lesson 2.py. I've sent it.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, so it means that the lesson 2.py is in the py folder, but you have not saved it. That's why there's a white circle beside the lesson 2.py. You've not saved whatever we've typed so far.
Okay.
So Control S to save.
All right.
But the terminal should display the prompt. So that's why I'm a little bit confused. Yeah, if you could close your Visual Studio Code and open it again.
Okay.
And when you open it again, at the far top, the top, you see toggle panel at the top. beside where we close the,
Yes, yes.
you use the one that is the second one,
Okay.
the one that splits the view, so that the terminal will be at the down part and then your code will be at the top part.
Yes, I've done that.
But and so you don't see anything at the terminal.
No, it's still showing what I just closed.
Okay, please can you close it and then open it again?
Should I delete everything?
No, just close the program
Okay.
and reopen the program again. Then please, do you have any decks on your machine?
Like, yes.
Any decks?
It shows desktop. At the
No,
top.
I'm saying that there's a software called AnyDex. Do you have it installed on your machine? It helps us to remote it to your machine. So we'll recommend all of you to get it so that if there's any form of assistance that we need to log into your machine, we can log onto your machine and then assist you
The
from
name
that
again.
level. AnyDex. Okay. We are sending the link, so you could download it.
Okay.
On the Zoom chat, you send a link. You download it, and then when you install it, you get a computer ID. You give us that ID, and we can use that ID to remote it to your computer for you and assist you. Okay. Is there any question on what we've done so far?
Yes, please.
Yes, what's the question?
What's printing is saying syntax error,
Yes.
invalid syntax as the
Yes.
PY.
Yes, so it means you've typed a command wrongly. So can you take a screen, send us a screenshot of what you've typed so far,
Okay.
so that we can see where exactly the issue is coming from.
Okay. Screenshots. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, I've sent it.
Okay, so you've put into brackets the slice, but which string is it going to slice it from? You omitted the string, the variable. The variable is B. So print into bracket B before the bracket 7:12 before you close the bracket and close the main one. So we left out the string. The string we are working with is B.
I don't think I understand.
Okay, she has done it. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what I saw from the screen that you sent, that you've done it this way. This is what I saw.
But I corrected it and did it again, and it's still giving me a syntax error.
Oh, okay. So please send me the new one.
It's below it. Or I should print it again.
Yes, can you do it again and send me another screenshot, because
Okay.
can you resend it? Let me see.
All right, sure. So the command is Python lesson2.py, right?
Yeah, Python space lesson2.py.
Yes. Okay. Lesson2. Okay, let me send the screenshots.
Okay. Okay, so it is still saying that on line 12. So look at maybe the previous one. Oh, okay. You've not saved it.
I did Control S.
Yeah, but from the screen you sent, the lesson2.py, it still have a white circle beside it. That means it has not been saved.
lesson2.py.
At the top, beside the welcome, there's a white circle beside it. That means that you've not saved the file.
Okay, please, how do
So
I
this-
save?
So Control S.
I did that before I sent it.
Okay. So what this is what you will do. Click on the lesson2.py to make sure that we are in that particular file, and then go to File and see Save. And the white circle beside it should disappear. If it doesn't disappear, that means you've still not saved it.
Okay, it's gone now.
It's gone now. So rerun the program. Let's see whether it works.
Okay. Yes, it has come.
Okay, thank you.
Right,
So
thank
we've
you.
shared the AnyDex link. So please, you can get it installed. Okay, so
thank
let's continue. Now, a short way or a shortcut for the slides is that we can omit the first number. So in this second one, by leaving out the first number, it's going to start from the index 0. So this is the same thing like start from 0 up to 5, but don't include 5. That's what this one means. So H is 0, E is 1, L is 2, L is 3, O is 4, then the comma is 5. So this one will also print hello. So instead of we doing it this way, 0 to 5, we omitted the 0. It will still start from the first index to the last one, but it will not include the last one. That's how we read it. And the reverse also works. We could also do it this way, whereby we omit the last one. So this one means that start from index 2 to the end. So let me run these two programs, these two examples. So let's see. Okay. So the first one printed the hello, starting from index 0 to 5, but did not include the 5. The 5 is the comma. Okay, so this one is also starting from 2, index 2 to the end. So that's why we did it from 2 to the end. This one is from index 0 to 5. So somebody will ask me that, what if I do it this way too? If I don't bring the first and I don't bring the second, let's see what it would give us. So you see that this one has printed out hello world again. So this is starting from 0 to the end. So this is the same thing like just printing out the variable, because we gave it the first to the last index to slice. Now, if there's positive, then it means there's negative. So we could also look at a negative index, and let's see how this one goes to. So I'll run this command and then I'll explain how it works. Okay, let me comment the other one so that it only prints. So this printed ORL. Let's see what's so this means starting from index -5 to index -2. So from the character, the O will be O in the world is -5, and the D in the world is -2. So it means we are starting from backwards. So we got this printed out for us. So starting from back, 0, 1. So the exclamation mark is 0. This D is 1, but that will be -1. Then L is -2. -3, -4, -5. No. -1, -2. So from the negative, it doesn't start from 0, but it starts from -1. So the exclamation mark is -1, the D is -2, the -3, -4, -5. So the O is -5. So it started from O, -5, up to -2, but they don't include -2. The -2 character was the D. It didn't include it. So that's why it printed ORL. So if you have a string and you want some data from the far end, you could also use negative to get it from the far end. If there's no question, then let's continue to string modification. Okay, now Python has a set of inbuilt methods that can be used on any variable that has been defined as a string. So let's go to the variable up here. This particular one, let's copy this one. Okay, so if you have this variable, we could say print b is the name of the variable dot upper. Okay, so these are methods that can be called on the string. So this upper means that it's going to change everything to uppercase. So when I run this program, it has made everything uppercase. Hello world, uppercase. So if there's uppercase, then there is lowercase. So I could also do lower, save and rerun this program. Everything is now in lowercase. Now, you could also use another method called strip. Strip removes white spaces before and after a character. So for instance, if I create a space here and I put another space here like this, so maybe this is how I have it. When I use the strip command, it remove all the spaces. So when I run this program down here, hello world again, that's removed the space here and the spaces here. So this is very good when you are formatting text. So for instance, you have the user enters the name, but because we said we do not always trust a user, the input that the user gives, you could also pass that string to this command to remove any spaces that will be before or after the name, before you save to the database. Other than that, you see that there will be some spaces when the user was entering the maybe the name, and that would not be good for formatting. So that's another command, strip. So strip removes white spaces before and after. Now we also have another one called replace. Now I have a variable called a, which has a string, hello world. I'm saying that a dot replace h with j. What it means that wherever I see h, it will replace it with j. When I run this command, now the h has become j. So let's say the world was also an h, and I save this. If I rerun it again, so that everywhere you see h will be changed to j. So that is what the replace method that can be used on a string. Now, another useful method is the split method. Now, a split would break your text into more than one part based upon the parameter you gave it. So in this example, we are saying that you should split it wherever it sees comma. So wherever there's a comma, it will split it. So when I save this file and I run it, See that it has put it into a list, the two words in the list for me. So for instance, let me give you a practical example. If I have this maybe let me use name. So name is Walter Ni Ama. Okay. I have it like this. I could say print a dot split, and then I'm splitting it by space. When I save this and I run this, name. So you see that I splitted my name into the various parts. So with this, I can say that the last one is a surname, the first one is the first name, anything in between will be the other name. So if I'm working with names in data, I can split it by space, and then I can rearrange it so that maybe the OCAN will come first before the other part of the names come. So when you are doing data processing, you use all of these methods. So that's one way we could use it. There are a lot of ways we can use it. Okay, so that brings us to the end of string methods, string modification. There's string concatenation that we need to look at. Concatenation means that you want to join one or more strings together. And to do that, we use the operators. And the operator we use is the addition operator. Okay, so I have A, which is a string variable containing the word hello. B contains world. So if I say A plus B and I assign it to C and I print C, what it means is that I'm concatenating or joining those two strings together. And then when I run it, it will give me hello world. But you see that there's no space between the two. It has joined the two words together. So if we wanted a space between the two, then what we could do is to introduce a space. So looking at this particular one and this particular one, we have introduced this string here, which is an empty space. So if I comment this particular one, save it and rerun it again, see that hello world with a space, because I'm joining this string with this string with a space, empty space in between. So that's how, if you want to join string with space, we look at it. Now, we've learned how to combine strings together, but there's a nicer way we can do that. And that is by using string formatting. And there's a method that can be used. It's called the format method. Let's look at this example. Run this, let's run this. I've saved, let's run it and see. We'll get an error. So the error we are getting is that it cannot concatenate a string to an integer because age is an integer. Then the text txt is what? A string. So I cannot add a string to an integer. It doesn't work that way. You can only add like items. So either I convert this to a string by using the string type command like this. Save this, rerun it, and then now I've gotten the answer I want. Or there is a better way of doing that by using the format command. So this is how we go about it. So with the format command, I use curly brackets to indicate where I want to put the formatted text. Then I use the format command to the text dot the variable I want to format. So what this is going to do is that because it knows that this age is of type integer, it will format it as a string, and then it will add it to this particular text here and print it out. So with this one, we still got the same result. And this is a better way of formatting text, whereby you have other data types and you want to put them into a string to display it to a user. Now, you can decide to provide the formatting index, or you can decide not to do that. Let me show you an example. Now, with this I have here, I have quantity, item number, price, and my order is I want, then this is representing that I want to put a format there. This means I want to put another format here, and this is when I want to put a format here. Now, I'm
Okay.
saying my order dot format, and then quantity, item number, and price. So what the system will do is that this first space here, it will map it with quantity. This second space here, it will map it with item number. This third space here, it will map it with price. Rachel, yes.
Sir, please, with the concatenation, I think you were a bit running away from me. The speed is so high.
Okay. So are you talking about this particular one we looked at?
I
So
think
C
I'm
is equal to-
with the concatenation. I think your speed of approach is very high. You are very fast with this, so everything is just keeping. Yeah.
Okay, so where did you miss so that I can go back to that place?
From where you with the text, just a step behind.
So is it related to this particular one or the formatting I was talking about?
I think with the formatting, yeah, when you're using the format.
Okay. Okay, so let me go back. So this is what we were trying to do. So this is what we're trying to do. This is what you're trying to do. And the error we got was that age is an integer. This text here is a string. We cannot add an integer to a string. So what I said we could do is that we could have converted the age to a string by using the typecasts that we saw in our earlier lesson, whereby you can use this to convert to a string, integer to convert to an integer, float to convert whatever you have to a float. Okay, so by this will now be converted as a string. And now I can add a string to a string, and then it will display it for us. But there's a very nice way of going about it, whereby we would use format string. So we use this to indicate where we want to put the formatting. And then this particular text, we would call the format function because it's a string. And then we will provide it the data we want it to format. So by this, what it means is that it knows that this is the place by this curly bracket, that's where I'm going to put the information. And the information will be converted because it is a string. And then it will display it for us. So that is how the formatting works. Any questions?
Thank
Or
you very
Rachel,
much.
are you okay now?
I'm okay.
Yeah, okay, okay. So what we were looking is another example whereby I have all of this information and I want to put them into a particular string to display to the user. So I'm using this curly bracket to indicate the places I want to put those values. So 3 means that this one, and this one are 3. So it means that I'm going to put 3 things there. And these are the 3 things: quantity, item number, and price. So my order dot format, quantity, item number, and price. So what it will do is that this first space is to replace it with quantity. This one will be replaced with item number, and this one will be replaced with price. And then it will print it for you. So when I save this and I rerun this, So you see that I want 3 pieces of items of item 567 for $49.95. It has printed it out for us nicely. Now, we could also use indexing so that we are sure where the information is going to be put. Now, if I put 0, I put 1, and then I put 2. What this means is that this quantity is 0, this is 1, this is 2. And then it would fill the information there exactly. The first one worked. So someone asked you that why are we using the indexing? So are we using the index numbers? We use the index numbers if we want to use them as placeholders. Placeholders. So let me give you another example to see why we chose to use indexing. So let me remove the indexing from these ones and then give you another example, and then we see. Okay, so with this particular one, I have quantity, item number, and price. But I'm saying that put index 2 here, put index 1 here, and put index 0 here, and put index 1 here. Now, quantity is 1, 0. Item number is 1. Price is 2. So this one will say that I will pay the price dollars for quantity pieces of item, then item number. So by giving it index, we can rearrange the data anyhow we want it. It will pick the particular index and replace it with there. If I do not provide the index like this, what it will do is that it will use quantity for the first place, item number for the second place, and price for the next place. So if, for instance, this particular one, I had decided that I was going to rearrange it this way. Item number, and then quantity. So what is happening is that item number will now be replaced here, quantity will now come here, and price will come here. And that will not be what I wanted. So if you do not want the way you call the variables to affect the string, then you need to provide the index of the variable so that it will put the right variable at the right place for you. So that's where you use index. But if you've arranged the items exactly the way you want it, then there's no need for you to use the index. But if you are rearranging the information, then you need to use the index to be able to get exactly what you want. Yes, Justina, what seems to be the problem? You have your lesson 2.py there, you've not saved it. You have the information there, you've circled some part. Justina, what seems to be your problem?
Hello.
Yes.
So like I was saying earlier, you see where the
Where you've circled? Where you've indicated?
UI yes.
Okay, so you see how mine is? Because I click on file and I open the particular folder,
Yes.
that folder is here. And when I click on that folder, I see the content in it, and those ones go down here, outline and timeline. So your Justice desktop unit, I don't know whether that's where your file is. If you can click on the arrow down there, arrow beside it to expand it, to see whether that's where your documents are. If not, then you have to go to file and then open folder, and then go to the particular place where the PY folder is and open that particular folder. That should solve that issue for you.
It says, do you want to save the changes you made to lesson 2PY?
Yes, you have to save the changes before you run. Other than that, it will use the previous information it has in memory to run. So anytime you make any change to the file, you have to save the file.
Okay. Think I'm on course now. Yeah, I've seen the.
Jeffrey, it seems you are quiet. Are you following us? Do you have any problem? Or we should continue? Okay, so I hope you get the formatting that we did. If the items are in the right order, then there's no need for you to put the index there. But if the items are not going to be in the same order as you have quoted it here, then you need to put the indexes so that it will know the right value to put at the right place. So with this one, the second one, we see that it is going to call index 2 before it calls index 0, before it calls index 1. Then here too, quantity is index 0, item number is index 1, the price is index 2. So with this particular one, it's going to call price first, quantity second, and item number third. Okay, if there's no question and you're okay with it, then we can continue to escaping characters in Python. We are all of these things are still on the string. We are looking at string. Now, we use the escape character if we want to insert another character into a string, which has been formatted in an illegal way. So let me show you an example and then we look at it. Now, I have this particular text here. Now, you see that even the Visual Studio Code has highlighted some parts. Now, this is going to give you an error because it will see this part as a start and the end of a string. This one is also a start and end of a string. And Vikings will be in the middle. So if, for instance, I wanted these quotation marks within the text, then I need to escape those characters. And we fix that problem by using the backslash. So we will have to do it this way. So when I print text, you see that we are the so-called Vikings from the north with the quotation marks there because you are trying to highlight that particular word. So we use the backspace to escape those characters. So if Python sees this, you know that, oh, okay, this one, it doesn't mean the end of the string. Add this to the string and add this to the string and print the whole thing for me. So that's how we escape characters in Python. Look at this particular example too. You see, you are using one quote here, one quote here, and then you are using it. It also has apostrophe here. So if you don't escape it, to give you an error. But this particular one will now run that it's all right because you've escaped this particular character. Let's look at this one too. Let's save this and let's run this and see. So you see, by using these two, what it means that you're escaping the first one. So the second one will be printed out. Because if I had done it this way, I would have gotten an error. If I save this one and then I run it, it will save. Yes, because it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. But when I add the other backslash, it will escape the first one. So this one will print 1. Now let's look at another way of escaping a character, the character escape methods. Now we also have this particular one. This /t is a tab. What it does is that it will separate the two characters by a tab. So if you were formatting data nicely by printing them out, you can use this to tap it. So let me give a practical example. Maybe you have information you are displaying. So you want to display name, age, gender. And then, so you see that the way that's formatted it nicely for you because you use the /tab return string. So name, heading of name, name is under, age is under, gender is under. So that's the /t. Now we also have this particular escape character type, /b. The /b would erase the space that is before the hello. So when I use /b, I want to remove every space between the two words. So it is printed together as hello world. So these are all in relation to strings. So if you have a string in Python, there are a lot of ways you could manipulate it and then work with it. Now, there are a lot of other string methods that we have. We have capitalize, case fold, center, count, encode, end width, expand tab, find. Then we've done the format. We have the is alphabet, is alpha, is decimal. That those are all functions on the string method which we can use. So all of this, I would get you those methods with their explanation in your lesson notes. It's numeric. First of all, it's numeric. For example, if you have a string, I want to check whether the string is of a type of numeric, you can use the is numeric to do that. And then we can also use the join to join two strings together. There are a lot of string methods. So I'll give you the list, and then in your spare time, you play with those methods and then you see how they all work together. It doesn't mean that you'll be using all of them. Depending upon the project or what you are doing, you might use 1, 2, 3, or a couple of them. But it's important you know them so that when you see them anywhere in somebody's code, you will know that, oh, okay, this is a string method which is being used to do something, so that you can know that the person is not doing any magic. There's one that I want us to look at. It's called zfill. Now, this one. If I have a text like this, now, so from the example we saw, zfill 2, it didn't do anything to the text we have here. The text is still 5555. Okay. Okay, so this is how we use the zfill. What zfill does is that it will put zeros in front of a particular number of strings for you. So if I say 10, it means that I'm going to put 10 zeros before the number. So for instance, maybe you are working with data. The data you are working contains numbers. Now you want all the numbers to be of a particular length, maybe 10 characters. So you can use the zfill with the number of zeros you want to add up. When you say zfill 10, what it means that I want the text to be 10 characters long. So no matter how, if it's less than 10, I'll add a 0 to make it 10. So if the character is 7, it will add 3 zeros to make it, the length should be 10. If the character is 4, to add 6 zeros to make it 10. If the character is 9, to add 1 0 to make it 10. But if the character is already 10, it will not do anything to it. So we use that to be able to format normally numbers when we are doing data processing, so that they will all be of the same particular length. So for instance, you are working with telephone numbers. Telephone number is supposed to be 10 characters long. So if you would want to add to make it 10, you add a 0 to make it 10. So you use the zfill to add the number of zeros to make it 10. So in this particular one, you should have signed this to a variable. Okay, so with this particular one, The reason why it's not working or didn't give you any output was that I'm saying it should fill it to 2, but this is more than 2. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'd made it maybe 7 and save this and so that it added 3 zeros to make it 7 characters. So because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want to that fill it to make it 7 characters. So to added 3 more characters to it to make it 7. So this one is 2. I want to make it 10. So to add 8 more zeros to it to make it 10. So that is the Z fill, how to use it. So there are a lot of string commands. So in the lesson notes that we'll provide, you'll get all those for us to add to it. Now, we saw a little bit about operators in Python, but we are now going to look at arithmetic operation. That means we are going to add things in Python. Now, we have some very nice ways of going about it. So for instance, if x is 4, and I'm saying x is equal to x plus 4, this x becomes a new variable. This x here will be this particular variable here, and I'm adding 3 to it. So when I print x, I should get 7. Good. Now, I could go about this using a shorthand method, and I will get the same output. And the shorthand method is this. So you see that sometimes in people's code, they do it this way. All that it means that x is equal to x plus 3. This is the longhand method. So x plus equal to 3 is the same thing. So if I comment this one out and I save this and I rerun it again, I should still get the same 7. So instead of using the long method, you can use this particular way and you still get the same thing. So those are arithmetic operators. So we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and the rest. So we'll give you those information in your lesson notes for you to know the shorthand methods for all of them, because it becomes useful when we move ahead to be able to use them. Then we also know of comparison operators. So equal to, not equal to. Now, let's look at this. X is equal to 4, and this particular one. These are two different things. The first one means that I am creating a variable called X, and I'm assigning it an integer called 4. The second one here is that I'm comparing the variable X, whether it's the data, what it contains is the same as 4. So this one means I'm creating a variable X and putting the number 4 inside. This one means I'm comparing if X contains 4. So with this one, when I print it out, I should get a true because X is 4. I get a true because indeed X contains 4. So it will give me true for me to know that it contains. So we have not equal to. It's also another comparisons we can do. So I can say this, save this and run it again. I get false because X indeed is not, X indeed is 4. But if I made this another value and I save and run it true, it means that X is not equal to 5, which is true because X is 4. So those are comparison operators which we would use when we come to making decisions in programming, decision making. Now, we also have logical operators. In the logical operators, we have the and not. So this is an example of a logical operator. So what is going to happen is that it's going to check this and check this. The end means that all the two sides should be true. So this means that this, I'm checking that X is less than 5, and at the same time, X is also less than 10. So these two things will be compared together. And then if they are all true, then something should happen. So we could have used this in an if statement. We'll come to that, but I just want to show you how the logical operators are. I can say that if this is equal to this and this is equal to this, then it should print. So for example, let me use something that we all know. If you are greater than 18 years, and then you are also less than, let's say, 35, then I'll say that you are a youth. So this is an end condition. That means all the two conditions here, what I put in the bracket, should be correct or true before the add need to print what you want to print for you. So that's the end operator. We also have the or. Or means that if either one of them is true, then it should continue executing the function or the program or the command for you. So that's the end. So we have the end, we have the or, and we have not. So this is how we use the not. So not X is less than 5 and X is less than 10. That's how we use it. So if this evaluation is correct, then something else should work. So those are the logical operators. We will be using them very soon, but we needed to look at them. So those are the logical operators also. Then we also have what we call identity operators. So identity operators are is and is not. So if X is 5, Y, no, okay, let me use this way rather. The is method is used to return true if both the variables are the same object. So what I mean is that the objects we talked about are strings. So we have string, we have integer, float, boolean. So y is x is y. If I save this and I run this one, I get false. I get false because they are not the same. They are not the same in terms of even the length. They are not the same. So if I use the is not and I run this again, I get true because truly this and this are not the same. So these are the identify operators to check whether something is the same thing as the other. Then we also have the membership operator. Membership operator is in, and then not in. Now, if X in Y, then it should print true. When I say this and I run this, I get true. Why am I getting true? This string, Walter, can be found in this string here. So therefore, X is indeed inside of Y. So if I have two strings, I want to compare whether something is in something, then I can use the in command to be able to compare the two. So those are the membership operators, is and is in and not in. Okay. Now let's look at operator precedence. This is the same thing as we have in mass. That's we say board mass. So if I want to evaluate this and print it out, brackets have precedence. So I'm going to add whatever is in the brackets first. So 6 plus 3 is 9, and then 6 plus 3 is 9. So now I'll get 9 minus 9, which is what? 0. So when I save this and I run this, oh, I didn't comment this one out. I get 0. And this operator precedence is very, very important, because when you are doing addition and you're introducing other operators, you should be careful so that you don't get a wrong value because of board mass, bracket of multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So that's still holds for programming languages. Other than that, you would have interpreted this wrongly, and then you'll not get the same answer as you wanted. So that is for operator precedence. Okay, on that note, I want to give us some few minutes break, 5 minutes, if you have any question. Before we continue, we are going to go into something more deeper, and it might be a little bit confusing. So I want you to rest your brain small, and then we can look at that. What we are going to look at is what? Python lists. Now, if you could remember the data types, I told you that we also have lists, we also have sets, we also have tuple, and then we have dictionary. So we are going to look at these data types also. So we're going to look at the Python list. And these are very common data types that we'll be using a lot when we are working with data and want to manipulate data. You might need to store the data as a dictionary. You might need to store it as a tuple, as a set, or as a list, and then be able to work or manipulate it. So this is a very important concept. So if you don't have any question, let me give you some few minutes and then we'll look at it. Okay, so whilst you are relaxing or cooling down your brain, I want to talk about the in-person session. So we are looking to add Sunday, 1 hour on Sunday for an in-person training, whereby we will meet together and then go through what you've done so far. If there's any issue or you have anything to say or to add, we could have that in-person session and then be able to have that discussion. So it's something that we want to do. So we want to find out all those who are interested in that in-person session. It will be on a Sunday. We'll agree on the time, but it's going to be at least an hour for that Sunday in-person training. So if I can see by hand all those who will be interested in that.
Please, can you come again? I didn't get what you said.
Okay, so what I was saying is that for us to provide you more tutorial and letting you understand what we are teaching, we wanted to add Sunday. And Sunday is going to be an in-person training, at least 1 hour. We are not going to go more than an hour, whereby we meet in person. And then we can go through it, anything you don't understand, or if anything you want us to recap, or if you have any issue on what you have learned so far, we could use that to discuss. So we'll call that like a group discussion. So 1 hour group discussion on a Sunday. So we want to know by hand those who will be interested in such an in-person training, so that we can look at it and organize that. Okay, so Richfield is interested. Who else is interested in the in-person training? Okay, Fosua has also indicated. Moses, okay. So George, please, let's note them down and then we can discuss with them and then we continue from there. Okay, so do you have the permission of the house to continue?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so we are going to look at the other data types. Now, a list is used to store multiple items in a single variable. So in Python, when you see something like this, it is a list. So this list is storing multiple things in one variable. So I can store a lot of things in this variable called my list. And because of the brackets, square brackets you see here, it is a list. Gracie, we want to organize an in-person training. It will be on a Sunday, 1 hour on Sunday. We are yet to look at the time, but it's going to be 1 hour. I want to find out whether you are interested. If you are, you can put your hands up. George will be collating the names. Okay, so whilst that is going on, so we say that a list is used to store multiple items in a single variable. Now, a list is one of the 4 built-in data types in Python that is used to store collection of data. So if you want to store a collection of data, we normally use a list, tuple, set, or dictionary. All have the advantages and when to use them and when not to use them. Okay, so we create a list by using the square brackets. So if you see a square bracket in information like this, then what you've created is what? A list. Now, there are some features of a list. A list item are ordered. List items are changeable. And list items allow duplicate value. Also, list items are also called with indexing. So the first item in the list will be 0. Second item will be 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how we are able to pick information from the list. Now, we said a list item is ordered. When we say that the item is ordered, it means that they have a defined order and that order will not change. So if I create a list and the index 1, I put a value there, the value will still be there till I change it myself. So that's why we say it's ordered. So anytime I call that list, the value that is at index 1 will still be the same value or anytime, any day, anyhow, until I change that value. Now, lists are changeables. You could change, you can add, you can remove, you can change the position of the information in the list. But once the list has been created and you've not changed anything, the order in which you created that list will be maintained. So if you have some data at a particular index of that list, that data will still be there. Now, we also said lists allow duplication. The reason why it allows duplication is that lists we use index to be able to get the information in the list, not the value of the list. So by the index, if I have something like this, let me give you this example. Okay, so this apple here is index 0, banana is index 1, cherry is index 2, apple is index 3, and cherry is index 4. Now, the reason why this is possible and it will not give you an error that there's duplicate is that the information that's in the list are represented by the index, not the actual data. So therefore, in Python, it is seeing this as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, not apple, banana, cherry, apple, cherry. If it was that way, to see that, oh, banana is already, cherry, apple is here, apple is here. But it uses the indexing to be able to put data into the list and take data out, not the variable itself. So that is how, those are the features. Lists are ordered, they are changeable, they allow duplicates. So those are the features. Now, let's look at the first function on the list. Now, if I have a list, I want to know the length of the list. I use the len command. The len command will let me know the number of information in the list. So if I run this, it tells me 5. And indeed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, there are 5 items. But when I'm calling them, I use index. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the length command will let me know the number of information in the list. So there are 5 different information in the list. So that is the first command you are looking at. Now, lists can be used to store any of the various data types we've talked about. A list can store string, it can store integer, it can store Boolean, and it can even store a mixture of data types. So looking at this example, this list is storing string, this list is storing integer, this list is storing Boolean. And then I can also have a list that is storing all the data types. So this list is storing all the data types. So we are not seeing the power that list has. List can store all the various data types, and then you can order it, you can change it, and then it allows duplicates. Now, we can also use the type command to tell us the type of data we have. So for instance, if I say print and I say type into brackets list 1, I'm making this one list 1. When I save and run this, it tells me class list. So it means that I'm dealing with a list. So if you have a variable and you want to know the type of variable it is, you can use a type command to let you know the type, whether it's an integer, it's a string, it is a Boolean, it is a list, set, tuple, or it's a dictionary. The type command will give you a return the class that it is. Now, how do I construct a list? I can construct a list in 2 methods or 2 ways. I can use a list constructor to construct a list. So I could do this. I can use a list constructor. So list this, and then into brackets, all this. This will convert it to a list. Or else, I can also create a list like this. This is an empty list, and then I can be adding to the list. We'll look at the commands to be able to add to a list. Okay. How to access item from a list. How to access data from a list. Now, if I have my list like this, I use the index to be able to ask data, to be able to retrieve data or access data from the list. So if, as I've typed this command, who can tell me the answer we are going to get from this command? Anybody? Good. Banana, because banana is at index what? 1. Apple is 0. Banana is 1. Cherry is 2. So yes, banana, because it's at index 1. So I got banana out. So you can access the list by using what? The indexing. We could also use, we've not done that yet, but we can also use the for statement for X in this list and print X. This will also print the information in the list for me. So if I want to loop through, we'll come to that one, but this is another way of accessing information from the list. Okay. So you can use the index to access information on the list. Now, the same way we saw slicing, and we saw that there are negative ways. I can also say -1. Save this. When I run this, it gives me cherry, because cherry will be the when I'm starting from the backwards, cherry is what? -1. So we see negative and positive are all playing parts here. So accessing data, use positive index or negative index. We could also use an index range. So you saw that what we did in slicing has become now our value here. When I save this one, this is starting at 2 to 5. So this is 0, 1, 2. So cherry is 2. Orange is 3. Kiwi is 4. Melon is what? 5. Let's run this and let's see. So as we said in the list, no, it will not up to 5, but doesn't include 5. So melon was not printed. So it printed only these ones. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what it printed. So we see that slicing, what we learned in slicing is being useful here for us to be able to retrieve data from. So the same way we can use we could also do it this way, column 4 like this. And then when you run this, it starts from 0 to 4, but does not include 4. And when I do it this way too, and I run it too, it will start from index 2 to the end. So what we learned previously, we are still using it again. And the same way we can do negative indexing. And then we can even use the in statement to check. So for instance, I can say if banana in this list, print yes. So we've seen how we can even use the in and the not in, and we can even use the is and not is. All those you can combine them together for us to be able to produce or retrieve data. Moses, any question?
No, sir.
Oh, okay, your hand was still up, so I thought there was a question. Okay, let's look at how we can change items in a list. So we are still going to use the same list here, but how we are going to change item in the list. Okay, so what we do is that we still use the index method, but this time we are assigning something else to it. So what does this mean? That pick whatever is at index 1, replace it with this one. So when we save this and we reprint this one here, we see that banana has changed to black currant. So this is how we can change an item in the list. So for instance, I could also say that from 2 to this, let's see whether this was where, from 2 to this change. Good. Now, it has changed it all right, but it has done it in a different way. Why did it do it that way? Now, because of this slice I use now, it is going to change each particular index with one of these characters, one each. So it has changed all to this. So if you are using the slice method like this, you should note that there is not going to put this value in all of them, but it's going to split this value and put each one as a member of the list. So that one will not work. Okay. So if instance 5, and I want to change what's at 5, when I press enter, it has changed. 5 is melon, so it has changed it to blackcurrant. Okay, so that's how we change values. But if we still wanted to use the range, then we need to be specific. So I can say that from 1 to 3, change it to less blackcurrant. When I clear this and I run this again, we see that still we get it this way. So note that when we use a range, it will split the data and then put it in each of the various index of the list. And the list will change to accommodate, the length will change to accommodate the information that is being put inside. Now, apart from we accessing a particular field and changing it, we can also use another command, a function called insert. So I can say this list dot insert. Now insert, what do I, where do I want to insert the value? And then what do I want to insert? So this means that at index 2, put Walter there. When I save this and I run this, so index 2 has been changed to my name. So either that's or this list, and then you call that particular index, and then you would put it there. So these two would give us the same output. Now, how do we add to the list? To add to a list, we use the command called append. So I can say this list dot append, and then I put in something else. So this append will add this George to the end of the list. So when I do this and I save this, so you see that George has been added to the end. Anytime you use the append command, it will add it to the end. But you could also tell it where in particular you want to add it. So with the append command, it adds it to the end. But when you're using the insert command, you can tell it exactly where to insert that particular variable that you are providing. Now, you can also extend. We extend another list to a current list by using the extend command. So for instance, I have this list and I have tropic list. Now this list dot extend to tropic, it will add this to that list. When I save this and I run it, see that the list has now added this to that particular list. So it becomes a longer list. So if you have two lists and you want to join them together, then you can use the extend command to join one list to another list. So that's how we add one list to another list. Now, how do we remove from a list? We use a remove command. There are two ways of removing. Now, I'm going to use the same example we have here. So I can say this list dot remove, and I'm going to remove the value at the second index. Save this and rerun this list again. When I save this and I run this, I'm getting an error. Let me look at the error. Okay, so the remove command will not take the index, it will take the value that is there. So mango. So you see that the first one had mango in it. The second one, I've removed the mango. So the remove command will remove the particular value from the list. If we wanted to use indexing, then we can use pop. So I can say this list dot pop. I can say pop2. Copy this and then rerun this again. Let's see. Okay, so this is the first list that we merged together. With this list, we had removed mango from it. Then we are popping or removing whatever is in index 2. So 0, 1, 2. Cherry was at index 2. So when we pop 2, it has removed cherry from the list. And then, so we use the pop against with index, and we use the remove against the value that is inside the variable that you are looking at. Now, if you do not provide an index and use the pop command will remove the last one. So let me give you an example. So I could have also said this way. Let me copy this, but I will not provide any index. When I save this and I run this again. So you see that on the last one, the last particular one, it was papaya that was here. When I use pop without providing the index number, it has removed the last particular one. So now you are left with what? Apple, banana, and then pineapple. So that's the pop without using the index. Then there's another way we can also remove a particular information from the list. You can use the delete keyword. So if I have a list like this, I can use the delete keyword and the particular index I want. When I save this and I run it again, it has removed what? Apple. I'm left with a banana and cherry. So, Richfield, any question?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I want to find deleting an item from the list.
Yes.
Can you delete 2 or more items at the same time? And how do you do it?
You should be able. Let's see whether when we use the slice, whether it will work. So you see when I use a slice, it has deleted the first one and the second one, it's left with only cherry. So delete with the slice method will help us to delete more than one item. Are you okay with it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we also have the clear command. The clear command will clear everything in your list. So when I run this, the list is now empty. And we use this a lot when we are looping through data and then we are building a list and work with a list. After that, we need to clear that list. Other than that, when we loop again, it will add up to that particular list and the list become bigger and bigger, but that's not what we want to do. So normally we clear when we normally use clear a lot when we are looping through data and are building a list. After finishing whatever I want to do with the list, we have to clear the data from the list. So that's when we use clear. Now, we can also loop through a list. So you saw in my previous example that I can say for X in this list, print this. This will loop through the list and print everything in the list. I can also loop through the index by using these commands. So let's look at these commands. Now, you know this command, the length. The length command will get me the length of the string of the list. So this list is 1, 2, 3. So the length command will tell me that I have 3. So let me break it down for us to see what this code is doing. So see, the length command gave me what? 3. Good. Now, the range command is another very nice function in Python. If you give it a value, it will give you a range of numbers from that value, but it will start from, I think, 0. So if I say print range, and then the length of this list. Let me clear this one first. I want us to see. So you see, it has given me a range from 0 to 3. So that's what the range command does. So if I say, for example, if I say range, so for instance, if I want 1,000 numbers to do something, I can say range 1,000. When I print it out to tell me that we have range 0 to 1,000. So I can loop through that range and print it out. So if I had assigned this to a variable, I can say for x, for d in x, print d. And this will print 1 to 1,000. But you see that it will not print the last number. It will not print the last number. Okay, so if you look at our command, this command is doing that. Give me the length of the list, convert it to a range, it will be 0 to 3. And then for each time I look through this range, put that number in I. So we saw that it was 0 to 3. So when I'm looping through this data, I become 0, I will become 1, then I will become 2. 3 will never be printed out. So I get 0, 1, and 2, and then to print it out. So we've gotten the same thing. So either this way or else I say for x in this list, print x. All these two would do the same thing for us. So that is the looping through with an index. I can also use a while loop to loop through this data. Now we'll look at all of these commands, the for, if, while, they're all used for making decision. So this is saying that while I, which I've indicated that is 0, is less than the length of this list, print the ith value, and then add increase I. If I do not increase I, to be a continuous loop, and then you can have a memory crash because the answer will never, the while will never come to a 0. So that's for a while loop. Yeah. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to leave with you on our list is what you call list comprehension. It's a shorthand for doing the for statement. You might see this a lot in codes. Don't be confused. All that is saying is that for x in this list, print x, all has been put on one word or one line. All of this is on one line. When I run this to, so list comprehension, so that's be in the bracket. So the same answer you get. This is shorter than saying for x in this list, print x. So this is a short form called list comprehension. We'll look into that more later. So that is the last thing I want to leave with you for today. We can also sort out a list or create a list within a list. Okay, so any question? Please, any question? If no question, we would end here. So as usual, you will get the lesson notes and then you also get an assignment which will encompass all that we've learned so far. Now, a list can be sorted. So we'll look at it next week, how to copy a list, how to join a list. And then how to reverse a list. And I think that will be the end for lists. And similar methods will be used for the other types of data types. And they will try to start using them in a real world project to see all that you've learned and how we can apply them. If you have any question, let us be aware. If you need any assistance, you can contact George or me. Moses, any question? Flora, any question? Oh, yeah, okay.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So on that note, I think we can call it a day. But if you have any issue, you could link with us. Then with the any decks, we can remote into your system and then assist you. We've shared the training slides. So yeah, so we'll share the schedule for the whole training program as well. And then we'll get you the course notes for what we've done so far. And then I'll mark the previous assignment and then I'll give you another assignment for what we have done so far. So those who have not submitted their first assignment, please do, because it's all part of the grading. And those who have submitted, you get feedback from what we have done so far. Okay, so you saw that yesterday, one of our colleagues had some issues, shared it on the WhatsApp page and we're able to assist. So please, if you have any issue, please put it on the WhatsApp page so that we can assist you. We want the page to be very busy. Okay, so on that note, I want to thank you for finding time to be part of this lesson. I know today we have covered a lot of things, but it's all a building block to the final building we are trying to make. I don't expect you to grasp everything one time. It will take time and practice. You see, one important thing is that you need to practice what you are learning. Then that will help you to understand it better. Programming is not English. You are reading and it's sticking in your head. You need to practice hands-on training. So practice. If you have any question, you let us be aware. We'll try to assist you. So for those also who raised their hand for the Sunday 1 hour training session, we'll also get you feedback on that. And then we can have that in-person training as well. Thank you. George, if you have anything to add.
Thank you once again for joining these training sessions. The training slides and the training slide and the recorded video will be shared with you very soon. We'll work on it and share with you. Please, once again, please kindly put all your problems on the page for us, because some of you and all of us are willing to help you. So any issue that you are facing, kindly share on the page so that we can all help each other. Please, and thank you once again. And also, let me introduce one other colleague, MD Victor. He's also on the page and he's always ready to also help you, assist you in all your problems. So kindly, you can tag him, Victor or Water, in all your problems. Let's help each other on the page. Let's keep it active. Victor, can you say something?
All right. Hello, guys. Yeah, it's great to have you all here. I believe the session has been going well for all of you. The main aim of the main aim of Tech Bridges is mainly to, give ourselves some soft skills in this new age, where wherever we find ourselves in terms of tech, we can contribute to society. And so we are here not to just run training programs and just, let it go like that, but tailor it to make an impact. So at the end of the training, would want to see something really happen. And that is one of our main main aims, right? So I plead with each and every one of us to take this very, very serious. You never know how much of a game changer learning Python or any other course that we'll be doing subsequently would bring to your life. Especially in this time where we can work from distances, from remote places. I'm sure some of you might end up landing jobs working for people or companies in America, in Singapore, in China, in so many countries. And so let's take it as serious. We all know how IT or the tech industry is going now. Everything is going techie now. And so it's best for us all to jump into it and make something very useful out of our lives. So thank you so much. And I pray we all benefit greatly from this. Thank you.
Okay, so see you all next week. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Okay, the assignment to please, those who have not submitted, you'll be waiting for you, please.